We're going to look at how to check algebraic expressions and equations. And I've got to tell you that some of my students helped me to see that maybe I was doing this too difficult. So this is a second attempt at showing you this. All right, the expression that we're going to look at first of all, not an equation, is the square of the binomial x plus 9. And when it was squared, I got x squared plus 18x plus 81. Now you can use this technique for any expression that's not an equation. All right, let's take, the first thing we have to do is assign a value to the variable, because we're going to plug that value into both the original and the answer and see what we get. And you're not to use 0, 1, or 2 because they have special number properties. For instance, 0 just makes terms disappear, and it would just be 81 is equal to 81. And you really can't check to see that all the terms are correct. On a calculator, all the variables are set to 0 when it's reset. So you need to set some value for x. All right, so let's let x equal 3. All right, I've written down some of the keys we're going to use. And to put that in the calculator, we put the 3 first, then we hit the store key, and we hit x. So let's do that. We hit 3, then we hit the store key, which is right above the on button. And you see a little arrow. It's like 3 going into x. And x, again, is the xt alpha theta key. It looks like this over here on the bottom. And it's right next to the alpha key. Enter. It's the only alpha variable that has its own key. And so if I just push the x key, it'll tell me it's 3. Now let's enter the original, open parentheses, x plus 9, close parentheses squared, and we get 144. So we'll write that down. One of the things my students made clear to me is that I should show you what to write on the paper for the check. So the original is 144, and now we check the answer and see if it also gives us 144. X squared plus 18x, copy it identically to your answer, plus 81. And hit enter, and sure enough it does. And so you are quite happy that you haven't made any mistake. If it did not check, you want to look over your check first, but then you're probably going to need to do some more work and then check the answer that you get. All right, now we're going to check a problem that has more than one variable. And the variables didn't need to be x and y. They could have been a and b or anything. We're going to see how to enter different variables than x. All right, again, the first thing we got to do is to assign a value. Now I multiplied these two parentheses and got the answer that had 4 terms in it using FOIL. And this was a problem actually out of module 5. All right, so let's look at what we get here, or what we do. All right, the first thing we want to do is assign a value to x. Let's use -2 this time. So x is going to be -2. You can pick anything you want, just don't pick 0, 1, or 2. And y will be 10. All right, and we want to look at what we get for the original, but let's first put those values into the calculator. So we'll put -2, and we're going to store that for x. And hit enter. And then we're going to put 10, and we're going to store that for y. Now, how do we get y? We use this alpha key, in conjunction with the letters of the alphabet that are written above all these keys here. A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to Z somewhere down here, right there over the 2. And Y is above the 1. So you hit the alpha key and then the 1. And then hit enter. X is the only key that has its only letter that has its own special key for one keystroke. We're going to have to hit alpha and then 1 to get Y. Now if I just hit X, it now has a value -2. If I hit alpha 1 for Y, it has a value 10. Right now I want to enter the original, open parentheses, 3xy, alpha 1, plus x. Close parentheses, open another parentheses, 2y, which is alpha 1, squared, minus 5xy, x, and then alpha 1 for y, close parentheses. Now, when you put that many keystrokes in, it's a good idea to go back and check that you've really copied everything correctly before you hit enter. Open parentheses, 3xy plus x, close parentheses, open parentheses, 2y squared minus 5xy, close parentheses. Looks okay. I'm going to hit enter. And I get, for my original, negative 18,600. And let's go ahead and put the final answer in. Now, I used FOIL to get this, and I got 4 terms, but none of them were like terms, so I could not combine anything. And so let's see what I get. 6xy, alpha 1, raised to the 3rd power, minus 15, x squared, y squared, plus 2xy, which is alpha 1, squared, minus 5x squared, alpha 1 for y. Now I'm going to double check this because I made a lot of entries. 6xy cubed minus 15 x squared y squared plus 2xy squared minus 5x squared y. Alright, it looks okay. And then I'll hit enter. And I did get it for the answer, so that checks. So I didn't make any math mistakes. Not so far. I'll mention something that when I'm actually holding a calculator in my hands, I'll often keep my left hand with my thumb close to the alpha key so I can just hit it and then use my right hand to hit the other keys so that I'm using both hands and saving a little time. It's a little hard to do on the computer here. Alright, the last thing we're going to do is check an equation. And it's a fairly simple equation, but all equations follow the same format for checking. In an equation, you don't pick a value of x. You solve the equation and find the value of the variable, and it doesn't need to be x. It could have been any variable, but there's usually only one that you solve for at a time. So let's go ahead and check this one. Alright, let's first go to the calculator and we will store the actual value that we got. So we're going to put -2, store x. And I think that's what I stored before. Let's check. I stored it on the last problem. x, enter. I already have negative 2 in there, so I don't have to store it this time. And so then we're going to take the left side of the equation, see what we get numerically. We don't have to enter anything on our paper except what we get. So 2x minus 5, and hit enter. We get negative 9. And do the same thing for the right side of the equation, see what we get. And if they both match, then we're okay, we're in business. We have solved the equation successfully. So 3 parentheses, x minus 1, close parentheses, hit enter. And we got negative 9, and those two are equal, so the left equals the right, and it does check. So our solution is x equals 2. And this is the method for checking any type of equation. Put the solution back into the left and right sides and see if it makes them equal.